Hi everyone, I'm Cassandra Donnelly from Creative Passages. I'm here in my art room and I want to give you an art update. It's been a while. I've had a lot going on this past time frame. I want to give you the update from November 8th to December 4th. And I had a lot going on, so November 8th to December 4th. So on November 5th, we had a major thing happen in my family, which kind of was a setback, and it was really a loss. My daughter's husband left her, and left the baby, left the family, and so that's taken a lot out of her and a lot out of me, and I've been kind of having to compensate for all of that. Maybe sit a little bit more, financially compensate, especially emotionally compensate, housework compensate, and all of that. So that's taken a lot of time out from me. And then of course we had holidays, and then we had my granddaughter's 11th birthday celebration, then we had Thanksgiving, and there was a live prophetic painting this time period, and I also did a Trovember challenge, so I'm going to show you all of that. I mostly did collages and mixed media paintings, and there's also one oil pastel drawing assignment that I did at work that I made an example of that I want to share with you, so stay tuned. Even though this put me behind, I'm starting to feel I'm starting to feel better. Like, I feel like my stability is starting to come back. I'm starting to adjust. But it was hard, and we were sad, and so anyway, along those lines. So the first thing I did, so my last Psalms 102 ministry workshop was on contentment, which was interesting that I was doing part 2 of my contentment series where I teach and I preach. So my message was on contentment, part 2. And this was on November 7th, right after my son-in-law left, and which I probably maybe shouldn't mention, but the thing is, it's hard to understand me as an artist if you don't understand, how the family dynamics and things like that will affect me. And I mean, it is what it is. So our family dynamic is one less. It's hard to keep that a secret, you know what I mean? So anyway, so the topic was contentment, and even though I had already made this, like, I didn't make this in the time period, I made this before, but the workshop had to get postponed. So this is the one I made on November 7th. So maybe I should show you this one first. So this was my example. So after talking about contentment, and I won't give you all the preaching on that, I'll link to it if you want, so you can listen to it. But I made this circle plaque, and so we all made circle plaques. We could make it however we wanted. We could do acrylics, we could do collage. Most people actually did collage, so I'll probably have to take the phone off and show you a little bit better. But this was the collage, and I took pictures of things I was grateful for, like my flowers and my home and my car, because for a long time I didn't have those types of things. I lived in poverty, and it took me till age 51 before I had my first house. So I was immensely thankful for that, and my family, and pictures of me as a child, because I overcame trauma and sexual abuse. Even though I'm still working through that, for the most part, I overcame it. And just thankful for God and for friendship. So that was this. And then the day of, while we were all making art, I made this collage. So it says, in the middle of difficulties lies opportunity. Be the change you want to see. And the Lord will fight for you. You need only be still. And it says rescued. And it says, if not, he is still good. So it was a really powerful message, like, even though we're going through this difficulty, God's going to be there with us, and because of the challenge, there's going to be new opportunities. Because we have to like reframe like the difficult things that we go through. We somehow have to look at it from a higher vantage point instead of getting stuck in what is not working. So it was all about that. So then on November 18th, I'll admit though that what happened did slow me down artistically, and I even lost my motivation for a while. I just didn't feel as driven. Anyway, but this, at work, we did what we call an emotional landscape. And so what I had everybody do is take this large paper here, like this, fold it to make 2 doors, and then inside we drew our hidden emotions, like our inner world of feelings. If people could actually look inside and see how we feel, what it would look like. And if they wanted to, they could draw what the world sees on the outside, maybe how they carry themselves, their facial expression, or their persona that they try to put forward. I didn't bother with that, but the most important part I wanted them to concentrate on was the inner world of feeling. So I did it too, and I was honest with how I felt, which I call this one gray day. So I was just feeling really gray and sad, but yet I still had the hope, the hope of God. And I felt like there was walls, like I was struggling to trust God, at the time, and just getting a little discouraged. So there was walls there, but there was also, but they weren't solid. They had openings. So I drew the sunlight, like God's rays getting through my broken heart, through my walls, penetrating me to my heart. This was my heart, and even though I was going through that hardship, my heart was protected. So that is that. And then I made some response art to deal with all those feelings. So this is the trauma journal entry that I made, and I made this on November 12th, and it's called "The Lord Is My Anchor." So, and in this piece, it says, I need my glasses on to actually see it. Anchor yourself in the Lord when all is lost. And at this particular moment, it felt like all is lost. And it felt like all our hopes and dreams were lost. And it's more complicated than just him leaving, which I can't go into details, but it just felt like it interfered in a lot of our hopes and dreams. So I made this art so that God could comfort me, and it's mixed media, and I have like a lot of fabrics and stuff on it, and buttons, and I really love it. I still have to put it in my journal. I have like several artworks I still have to put in my journal. When I do, then I have to decorate the back of it. I have to punch holes in it. This is 5.5 by 8.5 because that's the size of my journal. I can't wait to like be able to put all those in there. Again, I've been kind of like lacking time a little bit, so I've been babysitting a lot, and then we had all those different events. This one, okay, so these are just regular collages. This one I made on December 12th, and I actually posted a lot of these on Instagram, which normally I'm really behind on, so I'm sort of caught up with Instagram for a change. And it's the opposite. I'm behind here in YouTube, and I'm behind on my blog. I'm trying to think. A lot of people, I think, like this one. This one might have been like a favorite. And I'll actually put titles on it, but I don't have the title on this one. You might have to go to my... I forgot to write on the back, so I don't have the title. I will put it on this YouTube video. I normally don't title my artwork because I have too many. Then we have this one right here. And then we have this one right here. Oops, I didn't tell you this is December 4th. This is all the way on cardstock. Pink cardstock, purple cardstock, cardstock. This is just regular drawing paper. This is a wooden forest. Okay. This is cardstock. And I made this one on November 13th. trying to show you in order here so you can kind of see, like, I call these my emotional landscape drawings, even though that other one was as well. This is just how I deal with my emotions, and normally they're just to help me release my stress and help me express my feelings. So normally I'm not concentrating on composition or color scheme a whole lot. This is November 18th. Plus, most of the time I start these at work just to show people how to do collage, and then later I try to fix it up just a little bit, but I'm not like overly obsessed with them. This one is, I spent a little bit more time on it. This one is November 20th, and I used graffito where I scratched into it. And this one seemed like a mystery, like God was trying to say something to me in this one. So I think I titled this one Seek and Find. That one's really cool. So this one took a while because I scratched into the entire thing with 2 layers of oil pastels, and then I added the collage. And then this one, so it was sort of started off like this, and then I added collage. Now this one I may go back and add collage to, but I just haven't done it, and it was sort of neat. I wanted to remember how I felt, so I wanted to show you this, what it looks like, you know, before I add all the collage materials. I don't necessarily like it as an art piece, but it was my emotions. That's why I want to hold on to it like this, at least a version of it. So there is a scan. There'll be scans of all these artworks following. This one was made on November 25th. You can kind of see how I scratched into it. I think composition wise it needs a little bit more work. Color wise I really like it, so I probably will add on to this. But traditionally as an artist, sometimes things like this will hang around a while before I get back to it. So if I get back to it, you'll see the new version of this. Okay, and then they'll have a new date, title, and a name if I can think of one. This one was finished on November 27th. I like that one. And then this one was, okay, so I did 3 on November 27th. So this is the first one. Oh, by the way, this is watercolor paper. That was watercolor paper. That was watercolor paper. Okay. This one was watercolor paper. So all these are watercolor paper. And then this one was the second one I did on November 27th. And these are 6 by 8 inches. And then this is the third one I did on November 27th. This one's kind of cool, I think. So one of them was really popular on Instagram, and I was surprised how popular compared to my other ones. Now this one's just an oil pastel drawing, and it's 5.5 by 8 or 5.5 by 8.5 inches. Oh, 6 by 9 were all the others. I think I said it wrong. And I don't like this one at all. I think it goes this way. I think I titled it Mr. Spaceman. I can remember this one because he looked like a little cyclops, a little like space alien. But I thought that these are my feelings, so maybe I shouldn't cover it up. Well, so maybe I should just put it in my journal like this and just write about it. So yeah, I have to explore that one a little bit because it stands out to me. The color, I really like the colors. It's just I'm not really into space. I mean, astronomy is interesting, but I'm not fascinated with, you know, I don't go around thinking about space and aliens and things. It just kind of came out. So I have to explore it a little bit. And then, okay, so this next one I'm going to show you is one that I took my time on, and I really did try to develop this one and think about composition and think about color. So this one started out much like the other ones, but it is much more thought through. Now whether or not it's nicer, I don't know. It actually wasn't very popular on my Instagram, which makes me wonder, like, does all my extra effort really matter? I should take off my glasses, huh? Maybe I do better when I don't think too much. Maybe I do better when I just go about it quickly. But this one I really focused on, and there's going to be a video on this one. If you remember, I said my last update video that I lost my hard drive with all my other art videos, so I'm kind of having to start over again with creating videos. But there's a video on this one, and yeah, I don't think I have it. Normally I would make a video on this one, and I think I did, but I think this video got lost on the hard drive. Well, no, because I lost my hard drive before then. I don't know. I'll have to look, but I don't remember seeing that I made a video on that one. Maybe that, I think maybe because I wasn't ready yet, you know, to make videos. I was still sort of grieving, and I just wasn't ready. But this one's cool, so I don't want to talk too much about it. You'll see it. And I gave this one a title too. Oh, I called it, this one's funny. I called it hyperbole because I said, Lord, what should I call this one? He said, hyperbole. And I'm like, huh? Why hyperbole? And then God said, because you kind of exaggerate. Sometimes, like if I get kind of depressed, I might say, you know, like, this is never going to end, or, you know, we're going to be like this forever, and nothing's ever going to change. You know, those all or none type drastic statements that will overgeneralized statements. And he's like, you have to like look at that, like watch what you say, like even when you're under a lot of stress, watch what you say so that you're not you know, placing a curse on yourself or your environment, your loved ones, or just, you know, so you're not making yourself feel worse than what you need to feel. But I sometimes can get in that mindset. So God was, and when he confronted me about it, he was doing it in, like, I could like sense him laughing at me. So, you know, he did it in a very loving way. So now, next thing I'm going to show you is called a collage from Collage Lab, and it was a Trovember challenge. And so in this challenge, you know, a lot of you do art challenges, and I've always been sort of fascinated by the art challenges, but at the same time sort of resistant because I sort of like to do my own thing. But the main reason is that I've felt like I could never keep up with it. But this particular art challenge is different than the other ones because it's not one new art piece every day. This one is one art piece and a new art prompt to add to this art piece every day. So there's 30 prompts because there's 30 days in November. And I made a video of this one, or it's not put together yet, but I recorded the process of this one. So each day we had a new prompt, and we didn't know what the prompt was going to be. So I didn't necessarily have time to devote to this every single day because some days I was too busy, but then I would, and I didn't even get into it till mid-November. So then I had like 15 prompts to incorporate all at once, which maybe took me a couple hours. And then the other days I would like maybe do 3 or 4 in one day. But I got it all done, and I asked God to make this one prophetic, and so there's a message tied to this one too. But I'm still seeking more from him about this one. But this one, I thought, you know, it's pretty cool. It's different for me because normally I'm not into magazine collage a lot. But this one's got a lot of magazine images, and then I also incorporated a lot of texture in it as well, because, and of course, you know, mixed media. So that's from Collage Lab if you're interested, and they did a Trovember challenge. I'm not sure if they do challenges every month or if that was just a November thing. I know, like, if you join them, there's different challenges, but of course I don't have the time to join something like that. But it was fun. I don't think I would do it every month even if it was available, because it did, between this and preparing for my live prophetic painting, I was pretty busy. So maybe I'll show you that next. I have to show you this way because there's not enough space where it's at in my art shed to show you otherwise. So this is what it looks like. It is 24 by 30 inches on thick canvas. And I did all the sides. So what I do for these is I prep my canvas ahead of time with just a giant collage all around, and in this case I think I did a glaze as well, just to have some sort of background going into it, so I'm not just stressing over trying to just finish covering space on my canvas, so I can concentrate more on whatever God is trying to tell me. So it's just more like a background. It can be completely covered up, but then I'll just have some texture, and because I like texture in my paintings. And so this was a worship event that I did, and before the pandemic I was painting live a little bit more during worship events. There'd be a couple people that would ask me to come in to the front to paint during the worship event, and then there'd be dancers there as well. In fact, I'm a dancer once in a while, or I was on a dance team. I just haven't done it for a while. Well, anyway, but so this time I painted, the pandemic, and then one of the main people who asked me moved away to Georgia, so I didn't get to do it much, but he actually came back for a worship event and might be doing it quarterly maybe, and so some of the local worship artists got together for this event and worshiped the Lord, and that's all it was. It was just total worship, and boy, did I was looking forward to this, because with everything going on in my life, I was like, I just need that soaking time with the Lord to just worship and get loose and relax. And going there, the traffic was just horrible, and so I kind of had some anxiety attacks because I was stuck in traffic for like an hour and a half before it even started moving. Anyway, I did get there before the event started, but I wasn't as early as I wanted to be, and that was upsetting to me. So I felt like God gave me this cross, and he showed me a man down on his knees worshiping. It was all about submitting to the Lord, like even when you don't know what's happening, even when the world feels so uncertain, and trusting that God is good, and that he's still there shining his light down on you, still loving you. But sometimes you have to let go of how you think things should be and trust that however life is unfolding, God's in control, and he's going to turn things around for the good, and he sees your tears and has collected them. And then so God gave me the message, faith does not make things easy, but it makes them possible. God is going to provide a way where there is no way, and so he has the ability to make your life good even if it doesn't look good at all. So that's what this one was about. I think I'm going to do a separate video on that, so I'm trying not to talk too long, but yeah, so the perspective's a little off here, but I kind of like it because it's like the cross looms so large, like it's such an important part, and this worshiper is just bowing down, worshiping the Lord, submitting his whole life and to Jesus, who's no longer on the cross, but he rose again, and he stole the keys from Hades so that we could have victory over death and over all the works of the enemy. Okay, so I'm going to get back to the rest of the art. So last but not least, I made some jelly prints, which I like to do once a week, but I didn't get to this till until only once in the 2-week period, and that was on December 3rd. So I made these jelly prints, and I'm happy to report that I feel like I'm getting better on the jelly prints. So, and I like doing jelly prints on scraps too. So this was like a mixed media paper scrap, and so I'm sort of developing my own style where I have lots of layers, and it's a bit grungy, and it's not uniform. I guess I don't like uniformity very much in my jelly prints, and I like it to be more abstract and kind of nuanced and mysterious a little bit. So I use and also I like to do a lot of mark making. Don't always do it on all my gel prints, but sometimes I do. I like to be free to do that, and I also like to be free to add other things to it as well. So every once in a while I add some glazes to it. So some of these have glaze, and some of these have mark making with a black Posca pen. So I usually use stencils. Sometimes I use stamps, but more so stencils. But I don't use a whole stencil. I just use only portions of the stencil. And so I did make a video of this as well. This one kind of broke apart. Oh, it was super cold when I made these, and I discovered that the gel print works differently in the cold, so I couldn't leave the gel prints on for as long as I normally would, because it would start to rip. And this was basically, you can't tell what kind of paper. This is just basically multimedia paper, and I think it's 120 pounds. All of these are. So, but this one, it doesn't have as many layers because I already like the color. So that's the other thing I'm trying to figure out, like when to quit. This one also didn't have as many layers because I really liked the look of this one. Oh, and I forgot to mention that usually I put Distress Oxide inks on all of my gel prints, which I realize is going to bleed, you know, if you use it in a collage. But what I'm planning to do is spray all of these with fixative, and some of these I did spray already, so I write a little note on the back if I did spray it. And so I usually try to write a little note on the back now when I created it, and if I did anything special to it, you know, what I did, so I could remember. And this one as well. This one has like one whole stencil on it, but yet there's so many other different layers on it that it looks pretty interesting, and it doesn't look as uniform as it might otherwise look. Now I also did a couple book pages, which this one you can even tell is a book page, but if you look on the back you can. So yeah, there's that. And this one as well. Maybe that's the one you can't tell. So this one I added the Posca pens to, and also I added glaze to it. This one's been sprayed, so this one actually won't bleed. Let's see some of those works. Let me get it so you can see good. That light is kind of not good. Maybe I should hold it up like that. That's a little better. Yeah. So these all have the pink glaze on it. Towards the end, they've been sprayed. This one has the black Posca pen on it. And then I did a couple scraps. This one was part of a collage artwork that I made a long time ago that I ripped up and collaged, and there was this piece left, and I decided to add Posca pen, a black Posca pen mark to it, and also the pink glaze. And that one's kind of cool. And then this one, this piece was calling out to me. It was just a scrap, and I don't know if it's coffee dyed or if it just was a scrap where the leftover Distress Oxide sprays got onto it and formed this brownish color, but I like it. And then it also already had part of this stencil on it, so I just took the Posca pen and made these other marks to it. So let me get the light again so you can see my face better. This is all the artwork that I've made in this past time period, November 8th to December 3rd. And I'm sorry I've been so distant. I'm going to try to get back on track, but it is going to be a little bit challenging for me just because for my daughter's trying to hold on to her job, and my grandson had heart surgery, so he can't go to any daycares until he's 13 months. He's 10 months old now. And so I have to babysit for her on the weekends, and I work full time. So, yeah, so my time's been stretched a little thin, but I'm trying to keep up as much as I can, because I love creating art. I do. I have to create art. I've made art my whole life. So that's what helps me weather the storms of life and feel better, you know, along with God. But God ministers to me in my time of making art. So I need that. And then I do love sharing my art. to the world. I think it's, you know, part of my mystery. And although maybe my art style is not for everybody, I think that it does minister to a few people, and it inspires, you know, a few people out there. So to me, that's where it's the time it takes to share, and that's why I do it. I'm not interested in monetization as much, maybe someday, but that's not why I make these videos. So be blessed, everybody. And I just pray blessings on you, and I pray that whatever hardships you're going through, that the Lord would show you that He's there in your midst, and He's going to work out all things for good, and that He loves you and He hasn't abandoned you. I pray all these things in the name of Jesus. Amen. Bye.